Hey, what's up, guys? Matt Shiflett with AmericanMadeExotics here. So we just got a whole bunch of shed test results back from RGI, and we're going to go through the list of them and kind of like see what we got, the good and the bad here. We figured we'd share it with y'all too while we're going through it. This is not the first time we've done the shed testing, and we've really kind of come to utilize it as a tool here and seeing how important it is and how much farther it can help you get ahead and how much time it can save you. So hopefully there's a lot of wins up here of things that prove out to be 100% het that were pos hets, but really we're not going to lose on any of them, because the ones that are losses that don't prove, it's going to be a fantastic animal for somebody else that can appreciate it for what it actually is, versus us spend 4 years raising it up hoping that it's something that it's not. So we look at it like that. I know, we've went back and shed tested stuff that we kept 2 years ago or 3 years ago even, and just kind of like, raised them up to do it the old fashioned way. And some of them proved out genetic testing where it's like, cool, that was worth it. And some of them didn't. And really, when you step back and look at it, the real estate's so valuable when you have this many animals that I could have had something else in that tub that would help me get farther. And I could have been putting the rats into something that like was worth raising up and keeping. And again, great animals that are a better fit for somebody else though. Even if they don't prove out for anything, it can be somewhere in a pet home and somebody that appreciates it for what it is, versus taking away your resources, your rodents, your tub space, and I could have been using it for something else. So we just got a bunch of shed test results back. They did 70 some sheds for us in less than 24 hours from getting the sheds. So that's awesome. The turnaround's getting super fast on these. So really just no reason not to be utilizing the shed testing. We've done tons of pairings this year, especially now that we've really seen how useful it is, that we would have never done before, because yeah, we could make some visuals, but all the stuff that we missed kind of would have been like, you either keep the whole clutch or you sell it for pennies what it could be worth, because it's a possible het and you got to price it cheaper for somebody to take that gamble. So this kind of takes all that stuff out. We can do head-to-head pairings and kind of, get there a little bit faster, trying to make these visual animals with totems in it. And the rest of the clutch that we missed on, some of them still have value, and we know we're not utilizing tub space on animals that don't need to be in this collection and are better off in a pet home or somebody that's a little farther behind in a project, and it can be a building block for them. So let's go ahead and dig in here and take a look at some of these results. We're not going to go through every one of them, but I'm sure out of this big list of 70 some sheds they did for us that quick, there's going to be some that really are cool and going to help us a lot that they proved. I'm sure there's going to be some that either older animals or newer animals that don't prove out, and we can kind of take a look at that too and see how much time and stuff it saved us. And it's still useful, win or lose on the sheds. I feel like we still win on it. So let's go ahead and see what we got here. All right, so here's one right here that was a pastel pied. That was 100% het desert ghost, 66% pos het clown. We don't really have a use anymore for pied het desert ghost, but if it was also het clown, then we could keep that maybe and plug that into our DG clown pied stuff. So, now we can make a decision now that we know it's 100% het. Do we want to keep it or part with it? We'll have to kind of look at everything else that we've kept and see what we got. But again, it's worth a lot more being pied double het than it is pied het DG pos het clown. So, well worth the $50 there to test that one, even if we end up parting with it. At least now we know what it is when we're listing it for sale. All right, so this one is one of a handful of pastel 100% het pied, 100% het desert ghost, 66% pos het clowns that we turn sheds in for. And we already have a lot of DG clown pied stuff, so really didn't have a use for any het pied, het desert ghost girls. Still a great animal. There's, cool project. Tons of people could really use that animal trying to build some DG pied stuff. But instead of keeping all of them and raising them up and seeing which ones prove out het clown and putting a lot of time and energy into it in space. We just turned the sheds in for them, and we got a good handful of them prove out to be 100% triple hets, like this girl right here. And we had one prove out to just be 100% het pied, 100% het desert ghost. So we definitely know we can let that girl go. But now we had a handful of them prove to be 100% triples. And then, you know, we had some others prove visuals that are hets. So, you know, now we can make that decision which ones we need to keep and which ones we can let go of. Now that we know exactly what we're working with, but at least we'll know every one that we keep and raise up is going to count, and it's going to be worth having that tub and utilizing those rats. So we'll go ahead and get this one put up and see what else we got. All right, and besides just utilizing it for the possible hets and stuff, if you're blind like me at IDing some of the subtle changes and stuff, there's still some usefulness to the shed testing here. This one is a DG Hypo combo that was possibly Orange Dream too, but I'm not 100% sure, or wasn't 100% sure. So I went ahead and sent the shed test in anyways, and she proved out to be definitely Orange Dream. So, you know, now I can make a decision if I want to keep her or part with her. But, you know, the couple bucks I spent testing it, at least beyond a shadow of a doubt, I know it's Orange Dream. And that can just go into my decision on if I keep her or part with her. And if I do part with her, I at least know that she's Orange Dream in there, besides the Pastavi part and the Hypo and the Desert Ghost. Pretty animal. We might have to hold on to this one now. All right, so here we have a super chocolate girl that's 100% het Desert Ghost and possible het Hypo. Unfortunately, she didn't prove out to be het Hypo, but I still don't take that as a loss because, you know, I'm going to keep her anyway. Super chocolate takes the guesswork out. Like I said, I'm not the best at IDing subtle stuff for some of these combos. So having a super chocolate to me will easily let me add chocolate into some other projects, and know for sure I'm going to have chocolate every time. But what's good about it though is at least now with the shed testing, I'm mentally not going to get hung up on the possibility of it being Pas Het Hypo. I know she's 100% het Desert Ghost. I would have for sure been hung up on the Pas Het Hypo part, and she would have definitely went into a Hypo Desert Ghost project for at least the first year, maybe even the second year if I'm thinking it was bad odds. So at least now, like, I know exactly what this animal is a super chocolate that is 100% het Desert Ghost and nothing more. So now I'm not necessarily sure I would put her into my Desert Ghost Hypo stuff because I already have chocolate in my DG Hypos. So I could put it into my DG Clown, maybe my DG Clown Pied stuff, maybe my DG Pied. Tons of different things that I can do with this animal now. And, you know, I'm not going to spend a year or two trying to prove her out for something that she's not. Put a little money up right now, and I think it's like, well, $50 for a single shed. So that $50 is going to let me better utilize this animal the first season that I breed her. So we're still going to hold on to her. I still think she's got a use here, being a super chocolate het Desert Ghost. We'll make some cool stuff with her. But again, now, like, I know what she is, and I can kind of make my breeding plans from there. Now, here's a problem that I'm sure a lot of us have had, and that is making an all-white snake or a snake with very little pattern in it whatsoever. This one is a female that we produced from a chocolate Pastavi het clown bred to a clown fire spot nose leopard. So no shot at it being a blue eye Lucy, but clearly it has so many genes in it that it just kind of took away any pattern, any color at all. But it could potentially be a very strong animal because spot nose and chocolate are allelic. So if that were to prove out to be a spot nose chocolate clown combo with the fire or the leopard in it, I mean, it could be potentially a powerful animal. But if it was a het clown, I can't say I necessarily need to raise that up. So what we did was we got the shed and we tested it for clown, and she came back and proved out to be a visual clown. Just not very visual because there's so many other genes in her that she's pretty much a white, very faint yellow pattern snake. But being a visual clown, if I want to plug some codoms into another project now, I could definitely use a female like this to breed something very simple, another recessive to it, and get tons of codom combos that would be 100% het clown and 100% whatever other recessives are in the simple male that I'm mixing to it. So, that makes the difference there. At least now I know what she is. And I think we'd go ahead and hold her back because we could have a use for a visual clown that could potentially have so many other codoms in it. All right, so here's another really great example of how to utilize the shed testing. This girl right here is a Trojan pastel that we produced by breeding a Trojan pastel to a regular tri-stripe. But then once she got, 25 to 30 millimeters, I threw in a tri-stripe hypo. Now, that's not really something I would have ever done in the past because you would have no way to know which male sired it. So you wouldn't know if they were 100% het tri-stripe or 100% het tri-stripe and 100% het hypo. But my tri-stripe hypo was a kind of small male, so I didn't really want to put him on a ton of stuff that didn't breed. So I started a lot of his girls out, especially in instances like this, where really I'm just trying to get the Trojan into my tri-stripe project. I started a lot of his girls with the regular tri-stripes. And then I knew that I would follow up once they were definitely going to breed, and I was going to get that one more lock-in before they ovulated. I would swap it and use the tri-stripe hypo, and then I would shed test the ones I wanted to keep and see which ones were just het tri-stripe and which ones were het tri-stripe, het hypo. We got really lucky on that this year, and every single one that we did that to has proved out to be a double het, and it was sired by the tri-stripe hypo that did the last lock and not the regular tri-stripe that started them out. So again, that's just not something that you would have been able to do in the past like that without using the shed test, because dual sired clutch, there's no way to prove which one sired it until you raised it up and bred it out. And now this one I still would have kept if it didn't prove and it was just het tri-stripe because I wanted to get the Trojan into my tri-stripe project. But there's a lot of instances that I wouldn't have kept it if it wasn't the double het. And I'm definitely very lucky that this one is double het instead, because I think a Trojan tri-stripe hypo is going to be way cooler than making just a regular Trojan tri-stripe. So, money well spent on that. At least I know these girls are worth raising up, and I know now definitely plug them into tri-stripe hypo projects when I get them up to size, because they're going to definitely prove out for the hypo part as well. So, that's one of them gambles we took that just really worked in our favor, and great use of the shed testing on that one. All right, so here's another really good example of how we utilize the shed testing. So this is one of, many animals that we tested pretty much the same scenario. So what we did was we took a visual pastel zebra het hypo male, and we bred it into a ton of different clown combos, and then just shed tested all of them, and it let us see which ones were het hypo and which ones were not. So this is a spot nose combo that is 100% het zebra and 100% het clown because they were visual, but she was 50% pos het hypo. And unfortunately, this girl came back negative for the hypo. So still a great animal. Tons of potential in her just for the zebra clown part. But like I said, we did a good bit of those pairings, and we've cherry picked the ones that were triple het, zebra, hypo, and clown. And that's the ones that we're going to raise up. And, we were lucky enough with the shed test, and we produced so many of them, we ended up partnering with a couple of the ones that were triple hets too. But at least like this with the shed testing, I know exactly what I have. I know exactly which ones to hold back and raise up, and I know exactly which ones to let go. Whereas in the past, you either would have had to just keep them all, raise them all up, and do it the old-fashioned way, or how things play out for me sometimes is picking the ones visually I like the most and selling the rest of them. And I did it with Stranger. I had tons of customers hitting me up I'm super excited. Their stranger posset clown, it proved out, and they made all these visuals, and that's cool. I always love to see people get possibles from me and get lucky with them. But when it starts to happen dozens and dozens of times and not one person has told me that it didn't prove out, you start looking around at the holdback rack at all these possets that we kept, and I think a good majority of mine didn't prove out. So it's a good thing we kept visuals too. And, you know, shed testing was available at the time. If we had utilized that, I could have made better decisions on which ones for me to keep and which ones for me to let go of. So really embracing it now and making sure that every decision we make on what stays and what goes, it's not based on it being a possible. It's based on 100% knowing what the animals are. So prime example right here. We don't need this girl, as awesome as she is, and she'll fit into somebody else's collection wonderfully. We're keeping the ones that are triple hets and raising those up. So let's see what else we got. All right, so here's a girl that we went back and shed tested that we had kept last year. It is a butter clown that's 100% het G-stripe. That was 50% posset hypo. We're very strong in genetic stripe clown project. So I can't say I would have kept this if I'd known that it wasn't going to prove het hypo. But now we've put the rats and time into it. We might go ahead and finish raising her up and get a clutch out of her. But she did not prove het hypo with the shed testing. This is one of those ones that if I had done it as a baby, I would have just definitely parted with it. We got a lot of G-stripe clown stuff. So, you know, we'll have to make a decision on that one if we finish raising her up or part with her. But just got to embrace it and do it now. Like as stuff hatches and you get a couple meals in it and you get that first shed, maybe off the bat, go ahead and figure out what it is before you start making your decisions on what to hold back and raise up and what to part with. So let's see what else we got. Okay, so here we have a pastel desert ghost clown that was posset pied. And, you know, we raised her up anyways. We were going to take that gamble. So we're going back and shed testing some of the stuff we kept last year. Just because, you know, once you get to that point where you have to let an adult go to make room for a holdback, makes you start reevaluating some of the raise ups. Probably would have kept her anyway, being a DG clown. But really was hoping that she was het pied. We got lucky on this. This is one of a handful of DG clowns that we've had proof het pied through our times shed testing and stuff. So we hit a male last year, and luckily we also hit this female here. So happy to have that. Definitely can put her to use. Hopefully make more triple visuals in the future. But at least now we know to put her right into that DG clown pied project. All right, so here we have a leopard Inchi that is 100% het albino genetic stripe clown, possible het pied. This was one of 7 sheds we turned in for various combos with leopard and Inchi that were the same possibilities on the recessives. Out of those 7, we got super lucky and only one of them proved negative. So that means we have, and even then, negative, she's still 100% triple het, but we have 6 girls that proved out to be 100% triple het, albino, genetic stripe, clown, and pied, which really is phenomenal for us because we'll take a look at this animal that we shed tested after this one, and you'll see exactly why this works out so perfect for us. All right, so this right here, we have an albino genetic stripe clown that was 66% posset pied, and we turned his shed in and he proved out to be 100% het pied. So the perfect male for all those females. I'm going to love to see the Inchi and the leopard get into this project because this is really cool already how much orange it has in it, but he just went up way more in potential for us having the het pied now. So he's an albino genetic stripe clown, 100% het pied, and we've got a whole line of girls that should be ready to go this winter for him. So looking forward to seeing this right here with all the other codoms in it, hopefully with our fingers crossed next year. All right, so here we have a lavender clown that was posset pied, and we had a handful of them prove out to be 100%. So that's really lucky. We had some prove out that had inchy in them. So this one did not prove. So now that we're looking at things as a whole, we don't necessarily even need this animal because we kept so many combo lavender clowns and had a lot of them prove out to be het pied. So I can't say I need one that doesn't have the pied attached to it. Great animal and still has, tons of uses and stuff, but real estate is kind of limited, so if I'm only going to raise up a handful of them, personally I'm better off keeping the ones that are lavender clown combos and the ones that are het pied versus just raising up a regular lavender clown. But great animal, but I've already got adult lavender clowns with no other genes in it, so I don't need to raise another one up. So it'll do wonders for somebody else in their collection and be a great building block for them in their lavender clown stuff. But at least now I know I don't need to raise that animal up. So, money well spent there, making sure that everyone that I kept had other genes in it and stuff, and really helps me make that decision on which ones to keep and which ones to part with. All right, so here we have a pastel hyper desert ghost girl that could possibly be vanilla, but she was 66% posset pied, and unfortunately that was negative. Would have been a really awesome animal for us to hold on to if she was a desert ghost hyper 100% het pied, to plug back into our vanilla hyper desert ghost pied stuff. But she's not, so now at least we know what to do with her, whether we keep her or let her go. We can base that decision off knowing that she's just a hypo desert ghost and not het pied. So useful there, whatever direction we decide on. At least we have an educated guess, and we can base it on knowing exactly what she is and not raise her up to take a gamble. If we do keep her, at least we know we're not hung up on trying to put her into a pied project. We could use her for something else for just the hypo desert ghost part. So we'll have to think about it and look at our breeding plans and see what we want to do on this one. All right, so here we have a pastel leopard clown, 100% het pied, that one of the parents was posset desert ghost, and I noticed a lot of the babies in this clutch were very bright. A lot of times het DG got a little bit of a marker to make the babies a little bit brighter. So I figured, what the heck, there's posset desert ghost in the parents before I decide to part with her, because I wouldn't need her if she was just het pied. I figured might as well run the shed test on it and just see what happens. I wouldn't normally do shed tests from a posset. I would have tested the parents and proved it out first, but I had the shed and she looked bright, looked a little funky for just a leopard pastel clown. So I rolled the dice on it. I sent the shed test in since I already was sending a big batch of sheds in, and she proved out het desert ghost. So now that goes back and proves out the parents, I can look back at the lineage and see anything else that I've kept from that or anything that I was parting with from that, and know that those were posset desert ghosts too. And now I can go back and maybe shed test those. So sometimes, you might just have a hunch something's there, and the couple bucks you spend on it is worth, taking that gamble. This one proved out for me. I know that was a long shot, but very cool. So now I can make a decision if I hold on to her or not. We've got a lot of stuff for DG clown pieds, but she just kind of looks cool, so we might hold on to her, might part with her. But whatever we decide to do, again, at least we're making that decision on knowing exactly what this animal is. So very cool about the shed testing. All right, so here's another one of those examples where we've got a white snake. This one is a Lucy with who knows what other codoms in it. But the reason we kept her and the reason we shed tested her was she was from a double het genetic stripe clown to double het genetic stripe clown pairing. When we did that, we're thinking like, no big deal. A quarter of them will be Lucy's, but at least we have a shot at hitting G-stripe clowns. And man, we really killed it on odds with these Lucy's that year. So I ended up keeping all the females and raising them up. And we've got them pretty much adults, like they're breedable animals now. But now that we've kind of embraced the shed testing and realized what a useful tool it is, we went ahead and sent shed testing on all of them. We did get lucky on one of them, that it was a double visual genetic stripe clown, all white snake. We hit a few of them that were visual one, het the other. This girl, we just got her results in, and she is a visual clown, but she was negative for G-stripe or het G-stripe. So at least now we know we're not just hung up on getting more Blue Eye Lucy genes into our genetic stripe clown project. We've got plenty of them in there, obviously, with the amount of white snakes that we shed tested out. So at least we know, like, hey, we did raise her up, but she is a Blue Eye Lucy combo with some other codoms in it potentially that is a visual clown. And I'm not married to putting her to the genetic stripe clown project. I can plug her into anything that's clown that I'd like to get Blue Eye Lucy genes into, at least make some cool clown combos with her. So at least now we know what she is, and we can go ahead and make good use for her for the genetics she is, instead of making a pairing that is based on what we wish she was, which clearly she's not. But still pretty animal, and she's gonna make some pretty babies. We've already raised her up, so we're gonna go ahead and follow through breeding her. So we'll keep it moving and see what else we got. All right, so here's two girls right here. This one we have an Ultramel Mystic, and this one we have an Ultramel. They both were possible het cryptic pied. This girl right here, the regular Ultramel, she did prove to be double het cryptic pied and visual Ultramel, obviously. And this girl, the Mystic, she proved out to be 100% het cryptic, but not het pied. So we'll make a decision based on that. I think we're still going to hold on to her just for the Mystic Ultramel part. We definitely can find a use for that in the future. But at least, you know, I know that I can plug her into some of my cryptic or clown stuff and utilize her to her full potential instead of being hung up on trying to prove out that Posset pied part. This one, we had a handful of these that we've turned in. Some of them were not hets at all. Some of them were het for either pied or het cryptic. And some of them we got lucky on and proved to be double hets and then the visual Ultramel. So now that we're seeing more and more of the ones pop up that are visual Ultramel double het cryptic pied, that's probably going to be the ones we hold on to. And some of the ones that were, you know, regular Ultramels, obviously, we've got adults of those. We don't need to raise that up. Wonderful animal, be a great building block for somebody else, but we don't have the real estate to raise that up. So those can go. And, you know, maybe we'll keep some of the Ultramel het cryptics. I really think that's a cool project. I'm kind of starting to like some of the cryptic and krypton combos more than I like the clown combos with the same other genes in them. So we'll keep those. The Ultramel het pieds, we've already got plenty of those. So any that proved out just Ultramel het pied and not het cryptic, again, we know we don't really necessarily need to raise those up. So out of all the animals we hit, the shed testing really just helped us make a very good decision on which ones are worth the real estate and time and which ones we can go ahead and find new homes for. So even when you lose with it, you still win off the amount of money that you pay to get the shed testing done. It saves you tons of time. So I know I put way more than $50 worth of time into raising these animals up from babies to adults. And I'm not even going to talk about the amount of money that goes into them in rodents. So making that decision on which ones, like, hey, I definitely don't need to raise this up, it's very much well worth it. Once you bite the bullet and just go ahead and get going with it and incorporate it in your tool bag of breeding animals, you know, it's not really a big deal. I don't think I've ever done one batch of shed testing that picking and choosing the animals that I didn't want to keep didn't cover the cost of it. So well worth it. This is a prime example right here of why we're going to continue to utilize the shed testing every season now. All right, so here we have a Desert Ghost and a Pastel Desert Ghost females that are 66% Posset Clown, 66% Posset Pied. This is two of a lot of animals that I held back and sent test results in. I got really lucky on some, not so lucky on others. So luckily, this big girl that I've put a couple years into raising up, she ended up proving to be 100% double het clown and pied. So got lucky there. The Pastel Desert Ghost, ended up proving out to be het clown, but not het pied. So that's one. Unfortunately, I've got tons of desert ghost het clown stuff and desert ghost clown stuff, and DGs that are double het clown pied. So I can't really necessarily say I need her, but at least it isn't the one that I put all the extra time into. I've definitely had some that really, sucked to see the bad results after raising them up. But at least I know now, so I can put my energy into this one. I can go ahead and put, DG Clown het pied male on her now that I know she's going to prove, because, that male's not super old. So I really didn't want to stretch him out and put him to some possibles. So the shed test in there, it let me go ahead and put my strongest male on her because I know she's going to prove. Whereas if I hadn't done the shed test, I probably would have done like a desert ghost double het clown pied. And I wouldn't have had as good of a shot at hitting the triple visual, but I wouldn't have wanted to waste putting that really nice young male on her and her not prove out. So another example where you're trying to make sure that your males count where they're going and every lot counts. So I'll use her to her maximum potential. And at least, now I know this girl right here, I don't necessarily even need it. It'll be a great animal for somebody else. But like I said, real estate is a valuable thing, and that's what we're always pressed for here. So I don't necessarily need her with the amount of other animals I have for that project or for the triple project. So, all right. So here's a couple more examples of how useful this is, because this one right here is a clown that is 66% Posset albino genetic stripe pied. You would think, surely being a posh triple het, it couldn't possibly be a regular clown, but she actually proved out negative for all three other genes. So you would think that would be a safe bet to sit that to the side and raise it up, because this can prove out for something in that project. But I'm sure glad I spent the money and shed tested it, and I'm not going to spend 3 or 4 years raising up a regular clown to try to put it into a quadruple recessive project and then be let down that it's a regular clown, because I already know you would have bred it the one time and thought, wow, that had to have been horrible odds. It's got to be het for something, and tried at least another year and then accepted that it was just a regular clown that you've had in your collection for, at that point, 5 years or so at the earliest. So we'll go ahead and find a home for her. Clown's a useful animal. You can still make some really cool stuff with her. But like, as we've mentioned multiple times, the real estate is such a valuable thing. As your collection grows, at least we know we're not raising her up and holding the real estate for a single gene clown when we're to the point now that we're selling some of our adult clowns to make room for multi-recessive projects. So that's not even the worst one. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the others. So this one, we have a super pastel that was 100% het zebra and was also possible het hypo, clown, and genetic stripe. So all those possibles there, you figure it's got to prove out to be het something. But no, this is just a regular super pastel het zebra. He proved negative for all three other recessives. So we definitely don't need that. Somebody else can make some really cool zebra stuff and breed it into their collection. But we're keeping some other animals that are multi-recessives, and we definitely don't need that. So again, another long shot. You wouldn't think it would prove negative for all three, but sure enough, we would have raised up a super pastel het zebra. I say even he's upset about those shed results. So we turned in sheds for a couple of pastels and super pastels and normals that were 66% Posset Desert Ghost Clown Pied from our first pairing at trying to make the triple visual here. And, we just set all the girls to the side. We figured some of them are going to prove it's worth raising them up. Now that we're doing the shed testing, we got very lucky, and a couple of them did prove out. A lot more of them proved out to be double hets. But we had a couple like this one, prime example, proved out for absolutely nothing. So, yeah, we've already put some time and rats in it, but it could have been a lot worse. We could have raised it up all the way to adult, We could have took some kind of male from our triple recessive project that could be breeding other females and putting them to better use and not making anything with it because she's not had anything. So, again, it's one of those things where even the losses are wins, because now this animal, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, I don't need to raise it up. It can get out of here. A lot of the ones that were double heads, kind of same boat. We've raised up so much of the triple project animals. I don't really need some of these double heads. DG Clown, DG Pies, Clown Pies for sure not. So, at least those we could still sell and get a good value for them, knowing that they were double recessive project animals. But again, the real estate is so valuable here. We knew that we could free that tub up for something else. Even more importantly, I didn't sell an adult that was a sure thing to make room for an animal that was impossible, that was not going to prove out for me. So, really a useful tool here. So even though this is far from the best results, at least I know, hey, I'm going to go ahead and get it out of here. I'm not going to sell a proven adult female to free up a tub to put what would be a pastel and nothing more in it. About 15 years too late on that one. So it just wouldn't make much sense for us to do it. So it's still not necessarily a bad thing when you get the negative results on here, even though it's not what you're looking for. All right, so I'm not going to bore you going through the entire list. It's a big list, and we got our work cut out for us. We got to go down the list, and we got to make new ID tags for every one of them. We got to sit down and make a decision which ones we're going to sell, which ones we're going to keep. The ones we're going to sell, go ahead and photograph those and try to get them on the website, or get show displays made up for them so we can go ahead and plan on taking them to the next show we go to. So that's going to take a couple hours for us, especially if we kept showing the results off on video and stuff and not just getting the work done here. But again, this batch of sheds we did with RGI, Rare Genetics Inc. You can find them on Morph Market or Clutch, and you can purchase your shed test there. Not affiliated with it at all. We're not getting any kind of kickback for making this video or anything like that. Just genuinely embracing how useful this is as a tool. It's always exciting when you get a big batch of shed results and go through them and stuff. So we just wanted to share them with y'all this time. It's not the first time we've done it. Every time we've done it so far, it's a kind of big batch of sheds. And it can be a little intimidating at first to bite that bullet and pay that bill and, see that number and what it's going to cost to go through all these shed testing. But again, on that one, that's 70 some sheds. That's 70 some animals in tubs that kind of are in limbo. Not really sure what they are, so kind of skip them every time we go to a show because I don't know if I want to keep them. I don't know if I want to part with them because I'm not really 100% sure what they even are. So out of them 70 some sheds we did, say even half are bad, half are good. That's a lot of animals that we can free those tubs up, and that's a lot of rats that we can go ahead and focus on the animals that we know are going to prove out and we know are sure things and that we want to be raising up. Again, as your collection grows and you start acquiring more and more animals, the resources such as the rodents and the tub space itself become a lot more valuable. So if everybody's going to start utilizing the shed testing, you might as well go ahead and embrace it and get with it too, because otherwise I really think you'll get left behind. That's a lot of animals that I could have been putting my resources into that were just going to be a letdown when I got the clutch, because I had my hopes built up that they would prove out for certain things, and then clearly they would not have. So we'll go ahead and just eliminate that right now, and we can get them out of here. And at least anything that I'm pairing that they have a shed test for, at least I know what the potential outcome is going to be beyond a shadow of a doubt. It's hard enough to hit the odds. So you're not doing yourself any favor when you're going for these long shot odds pairings and you're working with animals that might not even have the het recessives to begin with. So, you're building it up in your mind, you're shooting for this long shot odds pairing, and it's not even possible to hit it because one or both of the parents don't even have the recessive genes. So I really think we've come a long way from how we used to do things years ago. It wasn't really anything uncommon to breed a het male to a normal or a simple single gene codon, and then raise those up for 3 years and know that statistically half will prove out, and you got to figure out which ones will or won't. Come a long way to being able to just send that first shed in and know exactly what you're doing. A lot of times those het males or multi-het males, like, you would kind of turn your nose up at using those and want to keep things visual on one side so that the babies are 100%. And like, that's just not really even a thing anymore. It's always nice to do that when you can, but there's a lot of instances to get to a certain point. It would take you 3 or 4 years to work it slowly if you only keep 100% in mind when you're doing your pairings, because you want a visual on one side. Whereas now I could go het to het and skip making a single visual and raising it up. And I might hit the animal I want to that first season doing a het to het pairing and still be able to shed test the babies and know which ones are worth keeping when I'm selling stuff. I don't have to sell it as a possible. I can shed test it, and I can sell the ones that's 100% hets that are 100% hets. And I can sell the ones that are not hets for a little bit cheaper for a pet home. And everybody just knows what they're getting. There's no gambling involved in it. I've just pretty much full-blown did my pairings this year with a lot of them, keeping in mind that I was going to have to shed test the entire clutch. And I think that's going to work out in my favor, to be honest with you. But again, talking about the initial cost of it and stuff, like, yeah, it's a little intimidating at first, especially when you're sending in a big batch like that. But not once have I ever sent in a thing of sheds like that, where when I went through them and picked out, hey, like, I don't want to keep this one, I don't need it. Selling those animals has more than covered the cost of the initial shed testing. And then I'm keeping animals that I know I want, I know are going to prove. So, like, as a business, it really makes sense to do it like that. It's not even really a financial loss for us because, say you're paying X amount of dollars to shed test 70 animals. Well, you might not need this 30 anymore. Well, those 30 have always covered the cost of all of them when I've went to go sell them and stuff. So, I mean, it just makes sense to utilize it if it's out there. So I'm sure we're going to be doing a lot of that again this year. If y'all like this video and kind of seeing the behind the scenes, going through the list and what proved and what didn't, maybe we'll do it again in the future. But it's always exciting, so we don't mind sharing it and stuff. I appreciate y'all watching, and until the next one.